Are you okay if I record it? Then we can go really fast.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because I'm rather tired, so I'm probably going to need to review this later.
Okay. All right. So I'm looking at your gist here, and let me pull up. Let me get out of here and open up a new window. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to paste a link into the Hangout. I don't know if I did this with you before,
Okay.
but you can basically click on it and kind of follow along with what we're looking at.
Yeah, I think we did this last time.
Okay, so here it comes. I just pasted it. Now see if it works when you try to get in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks like we're good.
All right, and I'm gonna kind of resize it because it's too big. Oh, stop it. Okay, so now it's like that. We'll make it a little bigger. Okay, we're good to go. Pull it down just a tad here. Sorry, some slow.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay, Firehouse. No, that's not it. You gotta pull up here. Well, so this gist is, it's not a repo, it's just a file you made.
Oh, yeah, I can pull the...
No.
Oh, wait, I don't know.
There's no need. I got it. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna, let's see what's in here. I'm just gonna make a folder called image blur, and we'll just put it in here. Image blur 3, right? And we're done. Okay.
There we go.
I think we're done. I don't know if I did that right or not. What? Okay. That looks right. Okay. So does it run?
It runs.
And does it work?
It runs. It works.
Okay.
It just convoluted to me still.
Yeah. Well, good. That's kind of my. If I have a strength at all, and I hesitate to call anything I do strong, it's making code more readable. So let's take a look at this. Initial. Oh, so many people end up using Marshall. It just makes things easier.
Yeah.
And I like that. This is great. Blur, tuples. This is where it gets a little bit rough.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no. I know I need to fix this.
No, well, yeah. I mean, down the road, you're gonna. They'll probably get you into test-driven development, and that's the really enjoyable thing about doing test-driven development is you can write code that passes your test. In other words, it's correct, even if it's hideous or and then you can go back and make changes to it, knowing that the correctness of it can be validated by your tests. It just gives you a little more willingness to go in and with a big machete and make big cuts. So what I like to do in stuff like this, like you have this class, and I'm just going to give you some rules of thumb.
Okay.
That are they're not like commandments that you would be zealous about and beat people over the head with, but they are just sort of principles that are very helpful. One is whenever you have a method that's like more than, 5-7 lines long, you should kind of ask this question like, I wonder what I could do to extract some of this code out into a helper method or a method that I could name something. And I'll show you what I mean. If you look at some of the stuff I've done, I have tons of 3-line methods. In other words, it'll look like this. It'll say like def, some name, and then there'll be like some really convoluted stuff here, and then and my code is filled with this because this line is it's hard to look at it and know what it's doing, and so I just use the power of English to give it a big description. Now, some people would say like, you don't need to make a method to do that. You can just do this, You can put a comment here that explains things, right? Because that's what comments are for. But Um, in a sense, comments are great. I mean, I would use a comment that way, but comments one definition of a comment is that it's code that never gets run, and so it has a tendency to go stale. Like somebody could come back someday and change this, and it's very common for people not to bother to even look at the comment, and so you get comments that are describing things that used to be there. Anyway, look, I think it'll make sense if we put it into practice. So let's just look here. All right, so let's see how you call this down here. So you make an image, and it's got that's smart, the way you test it. You put 1 pixel at the bottom right to see if it was blurring properly, right? Oh no. I'm just talking to myself. Are you there?
I think that was just the one. I've been putting it in the place, and it worked.
Okay. Did you hear anything I just said?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, man, you're such a...
Can you not hear me?
I can now, but I couldn't for a second, and I thought I was just talking into space, which is embarrassing. Okay. All right,
I've heard everything.
Okay. So you're calling the new image, you're passing everything, and then image blur 3, and that means take 3 passes at it, right? So the result should be... well, let's just take a look at it. So if I run it, ID3, let's just see what it looks like. Yep, except it kind of did it in reverse. Why did it print the blurred one?
Oh, because that's the way I have it at the bottom.
Okay, I got you. All right, just for my piece.
Why?
All right. Okay, that's helpful to my... all right, so we know it works, and so now we can kind of work on refactoring it. So what we're doing here is you're loading it into Marshall. I like this output image function. And then here. Okay, so when you blur it, you're making a new image. You're basically making a new one, and then you're calling this Oh no. Now, it's not...
Oh goodness.
The thunder stopped, but it's raining really hard.
I miss thunderstorms.
Yeah, I really like them. Except for when they knock out my power. All right.
I think I've seen 2 thunderstorms since I moved to California.
Oh, yeah.
In 7 years.
And everyone freaks out like it's the end of the world.
Yeah, and I just sit there and watch.
Yeah. Okay, so what is this transform method? Is that something that Marshall gives you? Oh, no, it's something you wrote. You wrote this. Okay, so this is where you actually go through and do the blurring. Mm-hmm. What does this tuples method do?
That's pulling out all of the coordinates that need to change.
Okay. Oh. All right. Well, I'll just walk through it. This is a little different than I've seen it done before, but it's obviously working. Okay, so new image.transform. Row index and column index, that's like the dimensions of the image?
Yeah.
Okay. Or is it?
So, gosh, this is... We're not having enough sleep is not helping. Okay, so... that's the basically column and row that the pixel I want to change is in.
Okay.
Sorry, it's the pixel row.
No, it's okay. Okay, well.
I've been up since 4 a.m.
All right.
So
each within this two. Well, let's do this. Let's just walk through it. So for each row in your image, then for each column in the image, yep. So I and A are your...
I is the value, then there's the index, so which row it's in.
Mm-hmm. Should loop through the image. So the first thing you're trying to do here is find the location of all the ones.
Yes.
And that's what this is.
So, yeah, so it will loop through the original image and then find all the ones, and then it's telling it to...
Oh, and every time it finds a one, I gotcha, it does stuff around it, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right, well, I see what you're doing. Okay, so we're going to refactor this piece by piece. So
Okay.
the first thing you're doing here really is you're trying to discover all the pixels or the coordinates of every one.
Correct.
And what you're doing is you're operating on it the moment that you find it, you're operating upon it, right?
Yes.
Which is fine. But let's do this. Like, what if we made a method and we just called the method like, and it's in your image class, and we called it coordinates of whatever ones, and
Yeah.
and all we want back from it is a bunch of tuples, right?
Yes.
We just want a list of tuples, and when you, I'm not sure what is this anyway. Anyway, so we'll start with this, and I'm just going to copy some of it, and you got your. We don't need that anymore. So for every, we just do the same thing, and then if it, and we'll say the result is equal to nothing, and if A is equal to 1, in other words, we found the right thing, then we add something to the result, and we'll say, tell me
A row index and the column
row
index.
index and the column index. Let's just add that to our result, and we're not going to do anything with it yet. And at the very end, we'll just return the result. So we should be able to, let's go down to the bottom here, and when we, after we output an image, let's output image dot, what did I call it? Coordinates of ones?
Coordinates of ones.
Just to see if it's working. And let's see here. RB, what's it called? And so that doesn't look right. I did something wrong here. Let's try that. The coordinates, hold on. Coordinates of ones. I must be storing more than I really want to.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Why is it outputting all that? Well, no, it is working. I'm just,
Yeah, because it's finding it, but I don't know why it's...
yeah, what is all this garbage that is printing with it?
Makes me wonder, did I leave
No, I don't think you did anything wrong. I think it's me somehow. What did I do?
I just wonder, because I had some output images in there just to check myself as I was going.
Yes, this is weird. Okay. Well, I'm just going to comment that out and comment that out. So now we got nothing going on except printing out that stuff. Is there, maybe there's an error and it's trying to tell me about it. What is it doing? Oh, I know what it's doing. I have to load the file like, I'm calling IRB, which is so stupid. I need to do this. This is what I want to do. There we go. See that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, let's just put this up like that. Okay, so it is working. And I'm gonna delete. I can put this stuff back if I want to, but so we have this image that we have this function or this method, right? And it's very focused, all it does is give you the coordinates of ones. And so for blur now, if we want to, we can say every time you find one of those, you're trying to... where are you getting this distance from? Oh.
It's from the, yeah, it's the Manhattan distance.
And that's how many times you want to do it.
Well, it's how many, yeah.
Is that how many, that's how many passes you want to make, more or less?
No, it's how many,
how far in each direction you go?
Yeah, by
Okay.
blocks. Like, it's, you know, based on Manhattan blocks. So,
Okay.
because you're either going to go up 4 or over 4 or up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So,
All right. Let's look at this again. I want to see the result here. Okay. Well, so for blur, I would do this. Like, you got your new image, and then now you've got coordinates of ones. Dot each do, and that's some kind of tuple, right? It's a
Yes.
pair. Each one is a pair. And for each one of them, we can do this, right? And then we delete this. Maybe instead of coordinates of ones, we should call it what? Like pixels to blur? That's a little clearer, right?
yeah.
Pixels to blur. Oops. And there we go. Each do. And instead of tuple, if you're happy with tuple, we'll leave it there. New image transform. And then instead of row index, column index, we can do tuple dot first, tuple dot second, or whatever.
We need,
Not first, but like maybe like this. Does that make sense or not? Did I lose you again? Let's see here. Pixels to blur. Are you there? Hello, Ali. Shoot. All right. It's terrible.
hang out.
It's just,
Isn't technology wonderful?
well, you know what? I think it was all my fault because I was connected to the Wi-Fi upstairs instead of the one downstairs, which is, it's so far away.
Yeah, we have extenders in our house because the router's at the back of the house, and we mostly live up front.
Yeah. All right, let me get you in here one more time. I was just about to feel better about everything. Oh man! But I think that was the whole issue. I don't think it had anything to do with the thunderstorm.
No.
So I was blaming it on a thunderstorm, but okay. Did you get back in there?
Yes. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. And ta-da! Yep. Okay. So everything's working, and what we want to do. Let me slide that over. Just give us a little more room here. Okay. So you have. We're just refactoring piece by piece. So
Yep.
you got your new image, and then it's like, okay, let's figure out what our pixels to blur are, and that's from here. And what we can do is we can refactor this a little more. Like one thing is the each with index. I know what you're doing here, but you can reference any. Like isn't image a two-dimensional array? It is, right?
Yes. Yes, it is.
So what we could do is, just, well, let's just leave it alone. I think it's fine. Each with index I, A. Yeah, we'll leave it alone. Okay, so you got your pixels to blur, and then you're transforming each one. The only confusing thing is this tuple 0, tuple 1. That is a little, instead of tuple, I would call it like X, Y, pair.
Okay.
I don't know if that is...
I'm not picky.
All right. Like, some people would say, well, that's what a tuple is, you idiot. And I'm like, fine, that's fine, but it's just, tuple's is not a word I use very much. Okay.
Yeah, to be fair, I thought it was kind of weird, too. I pulled some of that from one of the office hours. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, those guys
feel
are
free to change.
Smarter than me. They probably should use their word. Okay. So
I think that's Ken's word. So.
Yeah. So I think let's look at this transform method, because that's probably where there's the most potential for being freaked out.
That if statement.
Yeah, and this is very easy to look at. And what we're going to do is, I'm just still trying to figure out, what does this tuples method do? What are we passing to it?
Okay, so it's pulling out.
Where are we using this? Oh, here.
Right. So what it's the method itself is pulling out all of the I guess XY pairs around the pixel that needs to blur.
Okay. So okay, so you're calling transform on each pixel that needs to be blurred around, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So
it's pulling out all of the values, and then it's filtering those and just getting the ones.
yeah, I'm gonna change transform to blur pixel.
Okay.
And we can change it back at the end if you want to, but let's just
Yeah.
see if that helps with the mental model we're trying to build up. Okay, so we're trying to blur pixel, and I'm going to change row and column to, X, I don't know, coordinate. I'll just say X and Y.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that confusing, or should I stay row column? What?
No, in fact, it's probably less confusing.
I don't know. For me, I just get happier with
Because I
X
kept
and Y.
getting my row indexes and my column indexes confused. So.
Okay. So X and Y. And then the distance is so weird. I'm still not sure how that figures in here. But anyway, so you want to blur the pixel. Oh, that's like how far in every direction you go, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, not how, more or less.
It's how many times you blur, or how many passes you make.
I never know how to explain Manhattan distance to make it make sense.
All right.
But yeah, it's how many it's well, it's how many blocks you can walk,
Yeah.
technically speaking.
Well, when you're blurring, like if you're blurring any pixel, you're basically going up, down, left, right, correct? Like if your
Yes.
distance is 1.
If your distance is 1, it's up, down, left, and right.
And if your distance is 2, it's not just up, up, down, down, left, left, right, right. It's actually these diagonals, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But isn't that the same as blurring with a distance of 1 twice?
Wait.
Does that not make sense?
I'm working on it. Give me a second.
All right. Well, the only reason I'm asking is because I've never seen anyone solve it this way, the way that you're solving it. Usually, like when the distance is given, like a distance of 3,
Yeah.
they basically blur an image
Okay.
with a distance of 1. Then they come back and they blur it again with a distance of 1.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And then they blur it again. So they basically make like 3 passes. Now the advantage to that is you don't have to pass this distance variable around everywhere.
Okay.
You just basically, whatever the distance was, you just call the method that many times.
Okay.
So, well, maybe we could just pretend like we live in a universe where, for now, where we don't have to worry about this distance. Okay, so anyway, so here we are. Wow. All right, I'm just gonna grab this and delete it and put it down here at the bottom. We'll save it for later. And I think we're gonna use it, but I just want to kind of get it out of my mind for a second. All right, and then for each pixel. Okay, so let's pretend like when we want to blur a pixel that we're just going to blur it one. We're just going to blur it with a distance of 1. So we don't need this or this, and we can just basically do what you're doing here. And what you're doing, I think, is if you're not off the edge of the image, then change it to 1, right?
Yes. Yes, that's what that's doing.
Okay. And so what we can do here to keep it from being so frightening looking is make a bunch of helper methods. And they're all going to be really silly looking. But the result is that this blur pixel method will go down real smooth because it's going to make a lot of sense. So for example, we can say, like you have this here. Well, it's all just one big if statement. So I'm going to say okay, so well, let's break these down. Okay, let's put each one on its own row and figure out what's going on here. Oh. Okay, so there's really 4 conditions. Okay.
Yeah.
So, no, it's all good. It's no problem. All right, and then there's this one. I guess that's right.
There's, yeah.
Am I messing that up? Anyway, the first one is if the row index, which is y. Okay. Ooh.
So there's, yeah.
Well, look, we've got, you have this image, right? What's an easy way to get the number of rows?
Length of.
Yes. So we can say num rows or what? Max rows is what? It's like image dot
Length.
length.
Wait, is that the number of
Or it might be
minus one? Yeah.
minus 1. Or max rows. Yeah. Image length minus 1. And then max columns would be image dot first dot length minus 1. But that's like the first thing in the image is a row, and so the length of the row is the number of columns.
Columns. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So these are little helper methods we're going to use. I'm going to put these down here because we're about to use them. And then up here, we want to find out if this. We want to find out.
I now forget what my X's and Y's were.
No. This is going to be a lot of fun when we're done. So when you blur a pixel x y, what you really want to get is a list of what would you call it? You know, the neighboring pixels, up, down, left, right. What would you call those? Like
What's a good name for those?
Neighbor pixels or something?
Yeah, I guess.
You know, let's call them pixel neighbors, and of some xy pixel, right? And so those pixel neighbors are going to be it's going to be an array of x plus 1 y, what else? X minus 1
Y.
And then x, y plus 1, x, y minus 1. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Those are our neighbors. Now, granted, some of these coordinates could be off the edge, but we're not checking that here. We just want to know, in an infinite universe, what would my neighbors be? And so we got our pixel neighbors, and so we're going to, when we blur a pixel, we're going to say, we're going to write a method called blur if
Present?
allowed. Or, yeah,
Yeah, that works.
blur if present, that's fine. And we'll pass this xy. And then now we get to use your stuff here. So up here we're going to say pixel neighbors dot each. No wait, pixel neighbors for xy dot each do blur if present. Well, is that right? Let's see here. Let's be really explicit. So we'll make something called blur candidates is equal to pixel neighbors, right? that's very clear. And then we'll just wait for a second. Okay, so you have these candidates, and what we want to do is for each one blur if present. So we'll say blur candidates dot each do candidate, and the candidate is an XY pair, and so we'll say blur if present candidate 0, that's the X, candidate 1. I'm not so crazy about that, because that's not that clear, you know, what we're doing. But now all we have to do is figure out this thing is the blur if present.
Spelled candidates wrong in the each statement.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh, good catch. Okay.
I have an English degree.
You do? Yes. You know what? That'll take you a long way in this field, because you'll really be a standout. Okay, so let's do blur if present. Okay, so far, here's what we're doing. give me all the pixels to blur. Okay, I got those. And then for every one of those pixels I want to blur it. Give me all the ones I could maybe blur, and then if they're present, blur them. Yeah, I'm okay with that. So for blur if present, we want to do this. If, and now we're going to do this stuff. So you drop it, we do this, if this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. But actually, we're going to put each one of these into a little helper method. So actually what we're going to do is like this. What are we really saying at the top here? We are saying, aren't we really saying if pixel, let's see, if pixel lower than top? What's a better way to say that? We could say south of border. Anyway, you got to come up with something that's kind of clear. Is it lower than? Let's just say lower than top.
Yeah, that works.
Lower than top, or lower than edge. We'll just say edge. What happened? Is it lower than the edge? And you pass it the pixel's coordinates, and the answer to that is the row index. Well, is x? No. The answer is y less.
Because
Well, zero.
Right, because at that
is the top edge. Is the top edge the high number and the low edge is 0? It is, right?
Then would it be the other way around?
Well, the way you set it up.
And I'm trying to remember now.
Like this here is this. That's right.
Yeah, that's 6. So that's 6, 6.
You're right. So the top edge is 0. The top edge is 0. So for lower than the edge, we would say if y is greater than 0. That's a piece of cake.
Yeah, because at that point we're passing the pixel we want to change. That's
Right.
okay. Yeah, that's right.
All right, and we'll just pass it the y value, and in Ruby, when you end a method with a question mark, it's going to return true or false. So you can say if, you can do this, true, else, false, or whatever. But nobody with much experience would do that. They would just say,
Question mark.
well, they would just say, this is going to return true or false. Is y greater than 0? If y is less than 0, then it's lower than edge. What am I trying to figure out here? Pixel lower than edge.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
greater than or equal to 0, like that. That means if it's 0 or more, it's
in the okay. Yes,
it's below the top, right? Okay.
Correct.
So let's do pixel higher than the edge, right? And for this, it would be y is less than
length
max
or
columns or max max rows. But the max rows would be 7 less than or equal to max rows.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to do the same thing for x. So pixel left. This is where it gets. What do I say now? Okay, pixel. East of the edge.
That works.
And we're going to pass it x, and so for this would be, so if it's east of the edge, that means that x is less than or equal to max length, or max, what do we call it?
Max
columns.
Columns? Yeah.
Columns, and then west of the edge. Sounds like an album.
Band name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard West of the Edge? amazing.
It actually sounds fantastic.
And then how do we do that? X is greater than or equals 0. Yeah, that's right. West of the edge. Okay, so now we have these nice, not, if we spent some time on it, we'd probably come up with better names. But now we can say this. If, and I just would, start putting them in here. If pixel east of the edge X and pixel west of the edge X and pixel higher than the edge Y and pixel lower than the edge Y. Ding, 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 ding. And we can do, I wish I could, what's the best way to make that look clean? That looks alright. Anyway, if all that's true, then, of course I deleted the line that actually did the blurring. But basically we set it to 1. We set that XY value to 1. So how do we do that? What did I put down there?
Where'd it go?
I don't know. I think I deleted it, but that's okay. I'm gonna shrink this up a little bit.
What did it say? Where did I put that?
Well, I think I deleted it. I don't think it's your fault.
Yeah, because no, I'm actually looking at my original over here. I just had, it was that image row index minus Y column index plus X equals 1. So
okay. So we can do this. That doesn't look right. Anyways, so if I'm getting a little mixed up here. What was I doing? Let's put this down here.
okay, so at this point, would it just be if those are true, then set?
Yeah, if these are all true,
Then at image, well, new image, right? Because we made a new image at some point.
right?
Wait, no, it's blurring pixels to blur.
Well, what you want to do is, I guess the question is, when you blur, are you blurring yourself? Like, are you blurring this original image?
No, I'm blurring a new image.
You're trying to blur a new image. Okay. But,
At least I thought.
well, that's fine, but you could just blur yourself. Like, you could just blur it's like you self-blur.
Yeah.
And you don't have to retain your original unblurred state. And that makes it easy.
Yeah, I think I needed the new image when I was doing the first one.
Okay.
This is the way I was doing it. So yeah.
So do you want to stick with that, or do you want to try just...
Oh, if the other makes more sense.
Well, it just makes things easier because you don't have to do, you don't have to make a new version. You can just basically do like if we take this out, put this down here. Okay. So up here, we're blurring. We're not gonna accept a distance anymore. We'll do that later. And so, well, no, we will accept a distance. Okay, so like you get your pixels, you get your pixels to blur, and then instead of calling, and you just call blur pixel on every. I don't even need to do that. You just call blur pixel and blur pixel. Oh, I like this. This is going to be so clean. Blur if present. What if we, instead of calling this blur if present, what if we called it something like, what if we said, blurrable?
I love it.
X, Y. And then, yeah, it's going to be blurrable. And then we can just say it's this. This, and this, and this. Wait a minute. And that. So it's like these 4 conditions. I don't know why Ruby is having such a hard time lining that up. Pixel east of the edge, and it's west of the edge, and it's higher than the edge, and it's lower than the edge. When you look at that, it's like, yeah, that would be a very blurrable pixel.
Yes.
And then up here we can say, for each blur candidate, if blurrable, yeah, we have to do this. If blurrable, then what? Then we set it right here. We say image. You know what? Let's do this. Let's just say x is equal to candidate 0 and y is equal to candidate. No, better not do that. We already have an x and y in there. Anyway, let's actually do the blurring. Candidate 0, candidate 1 equals 1. Okay, let's see if that makes sense. Let's walk through it. Okay, give me an image. Okay, here you go. Now, we want to blur it to a distance of 1. Okay, we're ignoring the distance for now. But let's get all the pixels to blur. Then for each one, blur it. All right. I'm going to get rid of this distance parameter for now. Okay, so for each one we're trying to blur, give me all his neighbors. For each one of them, if it's blurrable, blur it. And yeah. Now, how badly did we mess this up? Are you ready to run it? Let's see here. It's already like saying there's some problem down here with probably an
Yeah, we're missing an end somewhere.
I know, where is it? Oh, let's see here. Up here somewhere? No? It seems okay.
Okay.
Maybe I just didn't save it. Alright. Alright, let's see what happens. Undefined method pixel east of the edge. Okay, let's find that. That's in line 42. Pixel east of the edge. I left the question marks off. Somehow. Okay, now let's try. Pixel west of the edge. X, Y. Okay. I know what I'm doing wrong. This one I need to pass in X, not Y. Okay. And okay. No bugs or no errors. Of course, we're not really trying to blur it yet, or are we?
It looks like we are.
Well, we're blurring it, but we never output it after we blurred it because you had this.
Yeah.
You were outputting it inside the blur method. Aha! Now we got problems. Undefined method join. Okay. Have you ever used binding.pry?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So this is kind of a we're bumping up on an hour, and I apologize because you probably just wanted to go crash. But this is a cool thing to learn. Okay, so I'm gonna you do gem install pry. Make sure you have it. It's a gem, and it lets you put this line of code in your Ruby to sort of halt execution and look around. So, for example, I can put binding.pry here, like that. And now when I run this, watch what happens. Oh, that was very, I have to require.
You have to require it.
Yeah, I do. Okay. And then it stops right there. And so,
well, that's useful.
yeah, and right here I can say, well, what's the value of x here, and what's the value of y here, and then I can be like, oh, okay, exit, and it'll keep going. But you can tell it was trying to blur. It was doing the right thing. It was trying to blur that pixel at 6.6. So, and then I can be like I can put binding pry here, and watch this. I can run it again. And it'll stop, and I can be like, what are my blur candidates? And see if that's working, which it is.
Yeah, those are the right ones.
Right? And then whatever. So you can actually step through your code like blurable. But there's some, I'm trying to figure out what this, what is this?
Like an output image.
It's having trouble
with join. It's the original image. What are we?
Well, it's trying to. It's like I messed up the image or something. Let me put a binding pry here, and we can see what's going on. So like the first time we run it, image looks great, and so it's obviously not having trouble. But then the second time, something's wrong, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't look right. It's like we have changed the wrong stuff. We are misblurring somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're mutating this thing. So it went from having 6 rows or 7 rows. Now it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It still has 7 rows, but
what happened to the?
But the last 2 rows got messed up. But that's okay. We can figure it out. So, but see how useful binding pry is? I mean, it's super helpful. So what I want to find out now is like when we're actually going to blur. Like the pixels to blur, what I want to find out is like how many times is it considering something blurrable? Because it really should just be two times. It's because your pixel's on the bottom right, so it should only
it should only be finding the
one above,
top and the one to the right, left.
Yeah, gosh. And so it's like, okay, all right, what's this blurrable one? 5, 6. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And then exit. I think. Well, and then right here, what does image look like? Image looks like that. So if you blur 5, 6, all right, let's exit. And then we're back here again, and now we're at 6, 5, and image.
That's right. And that's where it.
So we screwed it up somewhere.
Where?
What did we do? So image, let's see. So if I do image 5, 6, what is that?
It's like it changed it and then got rid of everything else.
Yeah, I don't know why. What am I doing wrong?
Oh, did it change that entire row to a 1?
Yeah, I think so. Image. Oh. Okay, I think I know what it is. I got it. Okay, it's not image. It's not comma. It's like.
Oh yeah, because it's
this.
Yeah. That's what it is.
I was doing
wait.
some weird thing there. Is that right?
I think they got one too many brackets in the middle. No? Wait. Yeah, no, I think that's right.
All right, let's see. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
That blurred correctly. I tell you, I'm very unhappy with this candidate 0 stuff. I just feel so like it's not okay. Let's change it back to tuple. I don't know. Tuple. I think tuple's a better word. It's more computer science-y. Okay. So you basically have here now, you're doing a one-pass blur, and the ugliest method in here is probably either blur pixel or pixels to blur. Pixels to blur, actually, because of let's see if we can name it. I would say let's say pixels let's say pixels needing blurring. No.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if that's helpful or not. Because it's kind of like you have pixels that need to be blurred, and then you have pixels that need to be blurred from.
Yeah.
And it's really important to tell which is which, and I don't know how to define how to really designate that. Pixels to blur can kind of sound like pixels that need blurring. But pixels. How about
pixels to chain?
Pixels to blur from?
Okay.
Right. That's.
Oh yeah, because that's
That's kind of hard to mess up.
Yeah.
I spend a lot, and if you're an English major, this will be like your strength, because there's this adage like the two hardest things in computer science are, one of them's called cache invalidation. The second one is naming things. And like if you can just take the time, to really, because we want someone to come back to this code, because that person who comes back to the code and doesn't understand it later, that's usually you. And if you spend the time to name it. All right, so we got, okay, give me an image. I want to blur this thing. Here's my distance. Pixels to blur from. Get me those and blur each one of them. And then when I blur it, give me the candidates. If it's a blurrable candidate, do it. Yeah. Anyway, it's not bad. It's like you can stare at it for a minute or two and kind of go, okay. So then all you have to do with this distance is just do something like this. Distance.times do there. And so now we're going to go down here where we blurred it 3 times, and let's see if that works. Ta-da! Oh, it didn't work at all. What happened? Oh, it broke. It broke. Undefined method pixels to blur. Oh, that's that. Okay, forget about that.
Okay.
Oh, there it goes. See?
Yay!
So you can put your distance here to be 5 or whatever, and you don't have to. Now you don't have to pass around that distance. Of course, the what you lost was the ability to preserve the original image, but that's not part of your requirements, really.
No, it just wasn't. So, in fact, they said we could do either or.
Okay. So like, I think I don't know, is that useful, this exercise, to kind of break things into tiny pieces?
I was talking to my boyfriend last night, but the thing I said was I need to learn how to divide this up into smaller things at a time. I like to try to do everything all at once.
Yeah. And that's okay,
So,
because at first you don't realize how unwieldy it's going to get, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, shoot. And then you're like, well, it works. And that's when you're in trouble.
Yeah,
because it's like... But in real life, code that is useful is code that you're going to have to change a lot, and you really want to pay attention to stuff. All right, what I'm going to do is put this in a gist so you can have it. And, I mean, you might not want it, but
Oh, no, I do.
here it comes. And let's see, blur3.rb. Create a gist, and I'll paste the link to it in the Hangout here. Okay.
Cool.
Man, I have done Blur3 so many times, and every time I have trouble. Every time I'm like, what? So funny.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was trying to explain to my boyfriend what I was trying to do, and he's just like, what?
He's like, why would you? But why would you do that? Yeah.
I mean, he's VP of engineering at the company he works for, so it's not like
Okay.
he got the gist of it.
Got the gist.
All right.
All right, I gotta run, but
Okay.
thanks for taking the time, and
Well, thank you.
we can try to hook up later.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.